This part is hardware installation. Following the steps install material cartridge 2-part LSR according to the manual. We go to manual control. Select E and I in an extruder block and press Home E axis and Home I axis. To ensure each motor is at its original point for both E and I axes, then lock the silicone cartridge clockwise to the cartridge holder. After holding both E axis and I axis, the current position for E and I should be at E0 and I0. Next, we can lock the silicone cartridge. Besides, this is our silicone cartridge as you can see. You can see the scale on it. The minimum unit of the scale is 1K equals to 1000. The meaning of 1000. Take E1000 for example, means that it will extrude about 1K amount of silicone. By understanding the meaning of cartridge, we can estimate the consumption of the silicone during the printing. Alright, after checking both EX and IX is at its original point, we can start to install the cartridge. You can use one hand to hold the cartridge and use the other hand to lock the cartridge clockwise, just like this. To install 2-part LSR material cartridge, lock the other cartridge in the same way. Check if both material cartridge is locked to the holder firmly. Therefore, the step mount silicone cartridge is finished. Under Manual Control tab, enter G92E0 I0 in the text field, capitalized or not. To set the current position of both E-axis and I-axis to be E0 and I0. Next, enter G1, E5000, I5000, F2000 to extrude E-axis and I-axis simultaneously. F2000 represents the speed of extrusion. Besides, 5000 is corresponding to the cartridge scale and represents the amount of silicone. Press emergency stop button when material flows out of the tube to avoid wasting the silicone. Therefore, the reason for entering G1 E5000, I5000, F2000 is to make sure that the silicone is pushed by the material axis, and the silicone will flow to the end of the tubing smoothly along the tube. When the material flows out of the tube, press emergency stop button on top right side of the software to avoid wasting the silicone. So right now, two material axes will start to push the silicone along the tube. We have to observe the edge of the tubing and see if the silicone flows out of the tube. If it does, press emergency stop button immediately to avoid wasting the silicone. When the material flows out of the tube, we have to wait for it at least 15 minutes. Therefore, the pressure inside of the tubes can be released completely. Clean the silicone at the edge of the tube after the pressure is released. We can check if the pressure is already released over after waiting it for a while. And there is no more silicone flows out of the tube, as we can see. As a result, we can make sure that the pressure is released completely. Next, we're going to clean the tube edge and clean it well. You can use the tissue paper to clean the tube edge. Wipe out the redundant silicone. Be careful when you clean the tube edge so that two-part LSR will not get mixed to each other. The tube edge will be clean and the silicone is flush with it after cleaning over. Next, we're going to install the mixing tubing. This is our mixing tubing. We have to remove the valve holder before installation. Take out the hexagon socket wrench provided to loosen the bolts. Remove the valve holder after loosening the bolts. According to the shape inside of it to install the mixing tubing. Before installing, we have to lock the valve cap first. Please pay attention that the cap needs to be reused. Put inside of the valve holder just like this. Then use the cap to fix it firmly. Lock the blue nozzle to the end of the mixer and valve at the same time. It will be like this after finishing the installation. Lock this module to the nozzle holder. Alright, the section of the installing the mixing tubing is over. Then connect the 2-to-1 connector with two material tubes. It will be like this when you're finished. The silicone will be pushed by the material axis to the 2-to-1 connector through the tubing. Also mix together in the mixer and finally flow out from the nozzle. Therefore, this is our complete feeding system and how it works. This is the waste bucket and it is used to store the wasted silicone. In order to prevent the waste bucket from getting dirty, we can place a piece of tissue paper in the waste bucket. Next, place a piece of release film on the printing plate. To fix the film easily, you can adjust the height of the printing plate in Z direction under the menu tab, and let the plate down a little so that we can fix the film easily. Alright, after the plate goes down a little, we can now fix the film. Please notice that when the film is being fixed, it should not cover the Z sensor hole. You can fix it with a tab. Okay, the step of placing a piece of release film is over. Therefore, this is the whole process of hardware installation.